Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the United Regional Chamber of Commerce's weekly update. We try and bring you some interesting guests, bring you up to date on some of the information going around in our region. And today I'm excited to bring on the new president and CEO of New Hope. I'd like to introduce you to Diana Mancera. And Diana, hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Jack, for having me. Yes, my name is Diana Mancera, and I am the new CEO and president of New Hope.
New Hope is an organization that's been around for a long time. I was proud to serve on the board there for a number of years. And one of my favorite folks in the world, Marsha Szymanski, just retired. And you got some big shoes to fill there, lady.
I know, I've been hearing that quite a bit, and I do love shoes, though, first of all. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to, do the work and continue the work that Marsha has been doing. She's been doing it for, I believe it's 8 years that she was at New Hope. And, I'm excited to be part of the community. I'm excited to be part of such an amazing team. And maybe I can share a little bit about the work that I have been doing before I came to New Hope, if that's okay with you.
Well, first off, that's what I was going to ask. Tell us all about Diana.
Yes, so I have been doing this work for quite a bit. My mom says that I started doing this at the age of 5, so I may not look like I'm old enough, but I do. So yeah, she says that I started at the age of 5 because I myself, as many other folks doing this work in the sexual and domestic violence field, I identify myself as a survivor and of experiencing domestic violence at home growing up. And unfortunately, I was one of those who witnessed a lot of violence at home. And my mom says that I used to, mediate a lot of the issues happening at home, which at my age, I probably shouldn't be doing that, but I was doing that. And then, growing up, I really got involved in a lot of volunteering work at college and in grad school. And a lot of those really left a huge impact, and why I decided to do this work and committed my life and my work to do this to ensure that just experiences like myself and what my mom experienced and my brothers experienced around domestic violence and sexual assault, to ensure that other folks don't get to experience the lack of support from the different systems that survivors get to work with, right? So one of them is like the hospital system, for example, or the court system. So I really have committed myself to do that. And I started working before I came to the Massachusetts Coalition. I was a director of a rape crisis center in the North Shore area. I was there for 5 years at the YWCA North Shore Rape Crisis Center. Then I came to the Massachusetts State Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence, known as JDI. I served there for about 7 years, and I was the director of membership and programs. So I supported a lot of like the technical assistance and support to our member programs, which New Hope was one of our member programs, and all the different 60 programs across the state that provide direct services. And one of my huge passions and work that I did at the coalition was really work around the different initiatives around economic justice, technology safety, and prevention work, specifically our Why Ribbon Day campaign, which is a campaign to encourage men and boys to engage in anti-violence work. So I really bring a lot of that experience around prevention and intersectionality, and the support, also the experience that I did providing direct services. So I know a lot of the hard work that the staff at New Hope deals with on a day-to-day basis, and the intersections that they have to be thinking around providing those services. So again, like, I come with a lot of experience, and I know that I have a lot to learn as well, because this is a new role for me. But I'm excited. I have an amazing board that is going to be providing a lot of support. So I'm glad to hear that, Jack, you were part of the board. So I will rely on you, and I might call you too and be like, Jack, what's going on?
Well, I'm not on the board anymore. I
I
was for
know,
a few
but
years.
you're in the community,
Yes.
and I'm sure you know a lot of folks in the community that I made to connect with and, uh, partner with those folks that know the community better than I do.
Well, that's part of my job, and I'll be glad to do that. But you mentioned something a minute ago, so I got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
Some of us may know, and some may recognize that gender-based violence is about power and control, and that's rooted in gender inequity. But could you explain or share more with why it's important and critical for New Hope and other service organizations like New Hope to employ an intersectional lens, and even share with us or explain what does intersectionality mean?
Yeah, so I kind of spoke a little bit about this as I was sharing a little bit about my work and the experience that I have doing this work around intersections, right? But what do we really mean by intersectionality? So this is coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, who really spoke about that survivors, specifically survivors of domestic and sexual violence, do not show up as not in a vacuum as just like survivors of domestic violence or sexual assault, but they show up with all the different identities that they may hold. So an example of that would be, a Black woman who has children, who may not have the economic means to leave the person who is causing the harm, who may also have a disability, who may also have children. So just by mentioning a couple of those identities, the fact that the person is a Black woman that has children, that has also a disability, those are the intersections. So there may be other, immediate things that folks that are providing immediate services to this person may have to deal with those issues before they deal with the domestic violence or sexual assault that they're experiencing. So if this person specifically wants to leave the person who has been causing the harm, our advocates will have to deal with the fact of potential homelessness, right? Potential support around other services like food stamps or any other things that this person may need before they actually address the domestic violence trauma that this person is experiencing and the children. So that's what we refer to when we talk about intersections, that we have to assess the other ways in which the person shows up in our community spaces. So coming to New Hope, that person, we will have to work with them around those different intersections, especially that, there's, when I was working at the coalition, one of the things that we learned that domestic homicide has actually decreased across the state. However, that has not been true for Black women and women of color. So we still have a lot of work to do, specifically when working with communities of color and Black and Brown folks.
All right, we're going to kind of back up a little bit.
Mhm.
When trying to leave an abusive relationship, people can face a number of those difficulties that you had just mentioned. And when a survivor decides to leave an abusive relationship, it's critical that those other are there for support, and those are very much needed. Can you share a bit about the work that New Hope does at the legislative level, both locally and statewide, to ensure that those supports are in place for those folks?
Yes, that's a great question, specifically because we hear quite often that people may think that the only work that we do is only direct service with survivors, but our work really has to be at a macro level also. So that includes legislative advocacy, not just with the local folks in our communities, but also at statewide and nationally. So JDI, the Massachusetts Coalition, every year in coalition with other sexual assault and domestic violence organizations across the state, we all come together and really advocate for the annual budget to ensure that our organizations are not just level funded, but that we also have the resources available to not only provide our services, but also to ensure that other systems that survivors have to work with, as I mentioned, like hospitals or the courts or the police departments, also have, the resources available for to support survivors. So we do that every year. We do it around February and March and start advocating, calling our legislators and representatives, again, to ensure that they understand the different situations that we're dealing with, and in which ways they can support us, and to ensure that we have funding and resources available to survivors.
Well, you do tremendous work over there, and personally, I'm sorry that we have to have organizations like yours to help protect these folks. Now, you cover quite a vast area. Can you give us an idea of the area that you do cover?
Yes, so we have 41 cities and towns. So that's a lot, if you
Yes.
can imagine, right? So we have 5 offices, or main offices, in the Attleboro area, but we have other offices in Taunton, in Southbridge, and Worcester. So our offices are really pretty, and the areas that we cover are pretty spread out. So yeah, our work it's a lot. We have a lot of staff, and we actually are in the process of hiring new staff, because we know that there's a huge need. There's a huge need at the courts. We have a few folks that actually sit at the courts and support survivors who are trying to get restraining orders, who are trying to do get support around visitation rights for the person who potentially is causing harm. Like, so there's a lot of different ways in which we provide support. And with homelessness, we have also a couple of shelters, and we are actually in the process of fundraising more funds for the new shelter that we're building. So yeah, it's a lot of work that we're doing, but we have a very mighty team, and I'm so excited to be part of this team.
Well, one of the good parts about your team, and something that we run into in business an awful lot, is the language barrier. We do have an awful lot of immigrants and non-English speaking folks coming into our area, and I understand that you have those resources to help all those folks that speak the different languages. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And I'm actually myself a Latinx person whose English is in her first language, as you can probably imagine just by the accent.
No.
I was born and raised in Mexico, so yeah, my first language is Spanish. And we do have a few folks in our staff that also speak Spanish and other languages, as well as we have access to our language line. So if there is a language that none of our staff speak, and we have a survivor or a victim, you know, uh, requesting resources and support, we have the ability to connect them to our language line and provide the support necessary.
Because that's very important, because
Absolutely.
folks, they feel isolated, nobody understands, and when you can speak to somebody in your native language, there's a little bit of a help there, and reassurance that you're going to get the help that you need.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so tell me, we got some things coming up. You got some announcements. Share with some of the community and folks listening today.
Yeah, so let me just make sure that I get the date correctly and the name of the event that we're doing. But on May 18th, we are doing, finally, after 2.5 or 3 years, I believe, due to COVID, we haven't been able to have our Highlight for Hope event, which is a
Yep.
breakfast event that we do. We used to do it every year, apparently, but we haven't been able to do that in person. So we're doing that on May 18th. We're going to be sharing more information out to the public about it. But this is an opportunity to highlight the support of the amazing business that have supported our work, and supported the community and the survivors in the community. This is an opportunity to highlight amazing survivors that are willing to share their story, and how New Hope has, and organizations like New Hope have really made change in their lives. So yeah, we're going to be sharing more information coming soon.
All right, and tell us, you mentioned that you're still doing some fundraising for the new shelter. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is my second week, so you may I don't know all the details of all the work that we're doing around this because this has definitely been something that my predecessor Marcia has really been a huge person that has been carrying this for a while. But yeah, so we really want to build a state of the state shelter because people deserve to live in a safe, beautiful space, and we want to create that for them. So we are still fundraising for our capital campaign. And if you are interested in supporting us, please visit our website, or you can also connect with me, and I'll make sure that we connect you with the folks that are working on this.
All right. Well, we're coming close to the end. Have you got any final thoughts for us?
I just want to say that I know that there are many survivors among us. Excuse me. Oh my God. And if you are here joining us, and just so you know, you're not alone, we're here to support you. And we're here to provide you with all the services necessary for you to find healing and support. And yeah, we're here for you, and you're not alone.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time coming on the show today. There's a lot more information out there if you want to go to the New Hope's website. If you know somebody that needs some help, needs some counseling, please reach out to New Hope. They've been a tremendous resource in our local communities for many, many years. It's my pleasure to say thank you again to Diana. And I'm sure you and I will interact a little bit here and there because we
We
know
will.
one or two folks around, and I'd be glad to make those introductions.
Thank you so much, Jack. I appreciate the invitation and look forward to connecting with you.
Okay. Folks, thank you very much again for joining us at the weekly United Regional Chambers update. Next week, we are going to have Allison Brum, the Attleboro city nurse, and she's going to talk about some new resources out there. And hopefully you can join us again next week, Wednesday, 2:00. Thank you all very much. Diana, thank you. Big shout out to the guys and gals over there at AACS. James for putting up with me and all these crazy things that we do. Thank you, folks. Everybody, please stay safe.